That's okay. All right. So today what we're going to do first of all is open up into Schoology. So if you're absent and watching this, open to Schoology. Go to our course. And you're going to see a couple things in there that we're going to work with today. The top one in chapter 2, I want to make you aware of in here, where it says, I am turning in a missing digital assignment. We have digital in here sometimes. I don't always do the worksheets that are attached. So today is digital. You'll be doing quizzes at the end of the hour, and it's a digital assignment. Friday was digital. Friday was digital. It was taking Edpuzzle notes and then doing Delta Math. If you were gone Friday and need to turn that in, go ahead, but I don't check that every day. So I have this Google form set to shoot me an email. So if Mallory was gone Friday, she looks in the grade book and goes, ooh, I have a missing out of 10 test points from Friday. And she does it tonight. She's going to click here and shoot me a Google form so I know to go look at that. The paper stuff just goes in here and I look at it every day. But the digital assignments, if you turn in a missing one due to absence or late, make sure you fill out a Google form. The other thing is for our chapter 1 retake, if you want to do that, there's a couple things. All assignments have to get done. So if you were missing 4 assignments, get them done before you even do anything else. You need to make corrections during ELK time. Today it's Miss Bales. Tuesday, Thursday of next week, it's in here. So we kind of swap out. So if you need to do or want to do a retake, it has to be done by next Thursday after school is when we're going to run it. But that has to get done first. Okay, so you might want to sign up for one of those ELK times to get the corrections in. All right, today we're going to go to the Thursday 9:30 assignments, and we're going to do 3 things. We're going to start by making a note card for this chapter digitally, because there's so much writing. Last hour I was like, oh, this is so much better. So we're going to hop on here. I have it set for you to create your own Google Doc. So go ahead and click on that. And we are together going to start a note card. It'll be up to you to finish it. But you have a quiz tomorrow. So here's your blank template. Did I give you guys enough time for yours to load? Yeah. Okay. Let's pick a different color so it stands out. And make sure you put your name on the top of it. Not my name, but your name, because we'll eventually probably print these off if you choose to make one. Then I want you to grab your highlighting tool, which is right next to the capital A. I chose yellow. We're going to go highlight some vocabulary on here. So highlight what I did. I highlighted counterexample, converse, inverse. I'm going to actually highlight the Venn diagram too. So let's just go highlight so it stands out to us. All right. So we are going to fill in parts of this. So the first thing we did in here, I'm going to type in red, I think, is we worked with patterns and inductive reasoning. Okay, when you're working with the patterns, there's not much I can tell you because it's logic, and I can't teach like Angel how to be logical, but I can tell her that when she's looking at patterns, go type this: if numbers go up. There are 2 math operations for you guys right now that cause numbers to increase. Addition and what else? Yeah, addition and or mult. So if you're seeing numbers go up, you might want to go, I'm going to look for some, maybe they're adding 4, adding 4, adding 4. Or maybe it's tripling, tripling, tripling. Maybe it's a combo. Maybe it's going up 2, then tripling, then up 2, then tripling. But if it's going up, you look usually for those 2 things. If going down, and you should know I mean numbers, then what 2 operations are you going to look for? Subtraction, exactly. And or, yeah. Okay, and or division. And then what we decided last hour is because we put in parentheses, some patterns have more than one. Now I'll give you time to type that. Operation. We did one in our notes where it went up 4 and then it doubled. And then it went up 4 and then it doubled. That's what I gave last hour on their formative quiz. I changed it for you guys. I just like to shake it up a little bit. Now don't type what, I'm going to have green be my naughty typing because you can't put examples on your note card, but I want you to see some. So I'm going to, in green, maybe I can make mine even a little bigger here for you guys since it's there. I'm going to do edit, select, don't you do this, edit, select all. I'm just going to make my text bigger for now. All right, does that help? Perfect. So if in green here, I'm going to choose green, which means don't you put this on your note cards, but just watch. Suppose you saw this pattern. Suppose you saw 4, comma 2, comma 1 half, comma 1 fourth, comma dot, dot, dot. Are the numbers going up or down? Down. Am I subtracting or am I dividing? Dividing. Consistently. By what number? 2. Exactly. So if you had to explain it, you'd say divide by 2. If you had to put the next 2, you'd say 1/8 and then 1/16. Correct? So that's what really all we need to know with the patterns. Counter example. You need to type this in. One thing that proves a conjecture false. So I'll give you time to type that. It's already on yours? All right. So when you're looking for a counterexample, if I said all four-sided figures are squares, counterexample, trapezoid, right? If I said the sum of a positive and a negative number is always positive. You could say, well, what about 5 plus negative 100, LaRue? That's very negative, correct? So you're looking for something that proves it false. All right, next up. Our conditional statements, this is what I want you to write, are in, I'm going to go pink, I think, so it stands out. You guys do whatever you want to do. Conditional statements are also, I don't want to be highlighted either. So conditional statements, turn my highlighter off. I'm going to go grab a nice color. Thank you. You guys are on the ball. Are also called if, then statements. So if it says write the conditional statement, you cannot come up to me and say, what's that mean? It's on your note card, correct? The second half of the chapter, you're going to fill in on your own. I'm starting to wean you. You know what I mean? We want to be completely making our own note card by chapter 4. But for this one, we're kind of, we did all of chapter 1 together. This one, we're going to do half of 1 together. All right, so there's a couple words, though, that mean if, even if you don't see them. So I want you to write when equals if. And you shouldn't have changed your size, all right? So if it says write the conditional statement for when I cry, I am sad. When is if. So you'd say if I cry, then I'm sad. When acts as the word if. Sometimes if is not at the beginning. It might say, Gabby screams if she is scared. She follows the if. So she'd say, if I'm scared, then I scream. Boy, you guys are intent. Your eyes are right on me. Does that make sense? We can't put examples on here, but you need to follow the if. So if you don't see it, if it's at the beginning, awesome. If it's in the middle, follow it. I eat if I am hungry. What would you write first? If I am hungry. Follow the if. Another word that means if is all. So write all equals if. All dogs bark. If an animal's a dog, then it barks. All squares have 4 sides. If a shape's a square, then it has 4 sides. All girls have long hair. If a person's a girl, then they have long hair. Counter example. Michelle, medium hair. You want to have short hair in here. Not all girls, right? So know the language. The notation for this would be if. Actually, let's go put it up here. Let's put if. Let's go back and rewrite this. So go take that dash out and go if P, then Q. I think I like that better. And then I want you to put the symbols. So you're going to have to listen. The symbols we use for the conditional is P, then hit a space. And here's how you make an arrow. Are you ready? You have to do the dash twice with the greater than symbol and then hit the space bar. And I'll repeat that and see how it turned into an arrow. So I'm going to do it again. I hit the dash 2 times. So I go dash, 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 right by the equals and the 0, and then I hit the greater than symbol, so shift where your period is, and then a space bar, and I'll make that arrow, and we'll go P, arrow, Q. If you don't mind the dash, dash, greater than, it's fine. Actually, they told me that last hour. They said, if you hit the space bar, it'll actually make the arrow. I was like, sweet. All right? So, that's our conditional statements. They are in if-then form, or they can be put in if-then form. Follow the if. You might want to write yourself a little note. Follow the if. Okay? The converse, we're going to write another word underneath that in big capital letters. What do we say for the converse? What do we do with the if and the then? Swap. So write in capital letters. I'm going to get that unhighlighted. Am I going at a decent pace? Yes? Okay, we're going to write swap. What do I mean by swap? You're not going to write if P then Q. You're going to write if Q then P. What are the symbols for it? You're not going to write P, arrow, Q. What are we going to write? Symbols. What am I going to put first? Q. And then we're going to make that arrow with the double dash and the shift greater than and hit a space. And go like this. And I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast, so I'm just going to kind of wait till I don't hear the typing for a little bit. So the converse is the swapper. I cannot put an example of that on here. If an angle is 90 degrees, then it is a right angle. Converse. If an angle is a right angle, then it measures 90 degrees. Okay? Next up, the inverse. I'm going to write a word right under it in big capital letters. I'm going to make it stand out to me in another color. What word gets inserted when we write an inverse? Do you remember? Not. Thank you. So let's write the word not. I still have my highlighter activated. So let's do the word not. But we always go back to the original. So write yourself in parentheses. You go back to the original if then. Miss L and I both know that we have kids that go to the one before, like they write the converse and then do the inverse of their converse. You always go back to the original or it's a train wreck. All right? So we go back to the original and we negate it. So we would write if not P, if we had to write it out. If an angle is not a right angle, then it is not 90 degrees. And yours will look a little bit more lined up. Mine's just huge, which is why it's not lining up very nice. But you should kind of make yours nice. All right, what symbol was not? Do you remember? What do you make for not so we don't use the word? Do you remember, Mallory? Oh, I just saw you do it, Jake. You went like this. It's that little squiggle. The squiggle on your keyboard is located right below the escape in the top left. You have to hit shift to get it. So you have to go shift and then right below the escape and it'll do a little squiggle. So I'm going to repeat that. You do shift right below the escape. But I don't want to do not, so I'm going to take one out. All right. So not P. I went back to the original. I go not P, and then let's make that arrow, dash, dash, greater than symbol, space bar. What do you think I'm going to put? Squiggle P, arrow, then what? Squiggle Q, squiggle Q. Okay? And again, on yours, you might, mine's out of line because you might want to have all your notation lined up like that. You know what I mean? To see how it's nice and in order. Contrapositive, underneath it, I'm going to write two words, swap and not. So let's write swap and, let's use the and symbol, not. And I'm going to unhighlight mine, and yours should be able to fit in there because you're not gigantic. All right, so swap and not, but again, you might want to write yourself the original. You might want to do that. So, you know, you go all the way back to the original if-then statement. All right, so you're going to write, if you have to write a contrapositive or if it's multiple choice and you have to pick it, you're looking for if not, and then we need to swap, Q, then not P. See if you can now put the symbol for that, right? Line it up with the other ones. If not Q, then not P. What would be a good way to get, you might even want to write original here next to the conditional statement too, just so you know what I mean by original. Would that be helpful? All right. Now, for your notation, we should do squiggle. Remember that's below the escape with us. Shift. And then what am I going to type in? What letter? Q. Thank you. And then arrow, double dash. Are we getting the hang of it? Hit the space bar. Not squiggle. P. Put your computers half mast when you're caught up to me here. You caught up, Owen? Humphrey, you caught up? Okay. All right. So the biconditional was yesterday. So this first part, this is the first 3 sections. Tomorrow you're going to be quizzed on the first 4. Okay. A biconditional, what statement did we throw in the middle? If and only if. Okay, but it has to be true both ways. An angle is a right angle if and only if it measures 90 degrees. That's true both ways. Okay, so we're going to write in here, whoops, let me unhighlight. Good Lord, I keep forgetting to do that. Am I the only one or are you guys? You insert the phrase if and only if. But we decided last hour to write ourselves a little note that we chuck the if and then. Make sure you know what I mean by that. If an angle measures 90 degrees, then it is a right angle. We can say an angle measures 90 degrees. I chuck the if and only if. It is a right angle. All right? So, if and only if. You need to write yourself a note. So let's do in parentheses. Both ways must be true. Last hour, somebody right here said, I'm hungry. Right at this spot. And so I said, I am hungry if and only if I eat. And we had to decide if that was true. If I am hungry, then I eat. If I eat, then I'm hungry. And Sawyer said, I last night passed right by some pie and I wasn't the least bit hungry and I ate it. So, like, there you go. Right? It wasn't true both ways. So hunger in the as a definition couldn't hold as being eating. Does that make sense? All right. So let's talk about the notation for that. It's a P, and then it has to work both ways. So they taught me last hour how to do a double-edged arrow. I'm not sure if I remember. I think you said you go this way, and you need 4 of these dashes. And then this, and then a space. Yep, there it is. I didn't know that. They taught me this arrow stuff last hour. So I'm going to repeat that. It has to work both ways. So you have to do like a left arrow and then 2 dashes for a right arrow and then a space bar. I must have hit too many of them. So let me try it again. Dash, 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 right, space, Q. Are we good? All right. The last thing before we go take it, this is what today is on, this law of syllogism and law of detachment. But I want you to go to the Venn diagram thing. So go to that box. I want you to go to insert and I want you to do drawing and hit new. So insert, drawing, new. Bam. We are going to make a circle. So go to the shape. You can see it right here. Go to shapes, choose a circle, and just draw, not a huge circle. So I'm going to repeat, insert, drawing, new, shape, circle. I don't want it to be light blue because we're eventually going to print these. So let's fill it with the paint bucket with white. Then what I want you to do is put another smaller circle. So go back to shapes, go to circle, and put it inside that one. Doesn't have to be right where mine is, but I want a circle inside of a circle. Am I going too fast, Miss L? Nope. All right, now grab your text tool. It's this T with the box around it. In the small circle, I want you to type the word if. And I'll explain what this means in just a second. I want you to type the word if. In the outside circle, I want you to type the word then with the text box. And again, the text box is right here. I'm going to move mine a little bit up so it's not so close. And now you have to listen because we can't put examples on. So let me know when you're done. That might take you a little bit. Go ahead and hit save and close, and it'll pop it right in that Venn diagram part. But then go half-mast when you have that in there. Thank you. Just because I want to make sure everyone's listening. I'm not writing anything today, so you really have to be listening and typing. How are we doing? Go half-mast when you have a circle inside of a circle. If you don't, raise your hand, and Miss L will come help you. I'm recording, so I can't go away from my computer. Are we good? All right, this is what I mean with the circle in a circle. If it says right here, monkeys in the inner circle, and in the outer circle it says tails, we would say if an animal's a monkey, then it has a tail. It's included in the outer one, so it goes if, then. So if I were to put right here, 4 sides, and then I put out here quadrilateral. I would say if a shape has 4 sides, then it's a quadrilateral. Do you understand what I'm telling you with the if then? If the inner, then the outer. You might want to, if you don't understand that, you might want to go space. If the inner, then the outer. I don't like to clutter my note card, so I get what I'm saying when I put the if in the then. But if you're like, by the test next Friday, I might not remember what you said. Then write if the inner, then the outer. Okay? It's included. It's an if-then statement with a picture. All right. That's as far as we're going to do right now. We're going to come back to this, though. Don't close it. You also can use it on your formative quiz, so leave it open. We're going to go back to Schoology, okay? And you're going to go back to our course. I think I have it open somewhere, but I got to open it. And it's going to say formative quiz, and it has 2 questions in it. I want you to put your computer half-mast when you are done or stuck with just when you have everything you can have done. When most of you, I can't wait for everybody, but I want you to go to formative 2.1 to 2.4. I have it set for you to have your own quiz on which to type. Just hit formative quiz. You can go ahead, put your name at the top, even though I think it'll submit with your go ahead and you can just, there's 2 questions here. One on this statement, a coin is a quarter if it is worth 25 cents. Follow the if. What is the conditional if-then statement? So you need to write if something, then something. Then I want the converse written out, the inverse written out, so you'll be typing, the contrapositive, and the biconditional. If you forgot, then you should use your note card. Just toggle back and forth. All right, try it even, I know some of you have been absent, try it. This isn't going in my grade book, but the one tomorrow is. So what I will do tomorrow at the beginning of the hour is where I will discuss individually with people I need to before you quiz. When you're done filling that out, go to the next page. You're to complete the pattern and then say what it was in words. Okay, so 2 questions for a formative quiz. You can type it all in. Make sure you hit submit when you're done. And when you do, go half-mast. Can you do this first? Thanks. The dog. I get confused. I was an admin in school. I believe so. I think so. You might get an email to give yourself. Yeah, it does say that I will receive one. I'll go see if I got one too. I put share, so that's weird. I wonder if there's something I have to click on. I don't know. I've never shared a course. So we're taking the formative right now. Once you hit submit, full half mast. We'll discuss it tomorrow. For now, you're just taking it. Were you able to get in? Did it say that for the note card? Yeah, for all three. That's all right. Might need a calculator. Yeah, I see you taking one out. You might need a calculator for this guy right here. Or just write it out right here. I don't get off. Is yours done? What? Yes. A sentence. Yes. Not the symbols, the sentence. On your test, you have to know both, but for this, I want you writing out the sentence. Did you click share? Like, did you send share request for that one? No, I thought if I did it once. Oh, I don't think so. Then you were able to send yourself request for access. I don't know. There you go. That one. And the next one. But I like that. Just couldn't do those ones. It's so tedious. Half mast after you submit. No need to worry today if you miss some stuff. But tomorrow's a real quiz. Some of you might have to go back to it after our next task, so leave it open. But when I see a little more than half mast, we'll move on. And if you're not, you can go back to that. I want as many people as possible to finish everything in class today. So does that make sense? And we do have most at half mast. So even if you're not done, no worries. You'll go back to it in about 5 minutes. Okay? Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go back to that note card. All right? Oh, I know what it's doing, Miss L. What? It is counting us as kind of the same person, I think. Oh. All right. Anyway, sorry, guys. I need to go back to here, and we're going to talk about these 2 laws of logic. I don't really care if you know their names, but you need to know how to use them if they can be used. So what I want to do here is show you a commercial from, it's actually an Xfinity commercial, and they keep doing new ones like every 6 months, so it's a whole bunch of them, but I'm only going to show you one of them here. Or maybe 2. And we're going to talk about the first law. It's called the law of syllogism. And whoever was working on the ad campaign for this commercial, it's for chucking cable and getting Xfinity. They used that law of logic in kind of a funny way. There's a whole bunch of commercials. I'm just going to pop on one here that we did last hour that was like at a minute in, I think, a little more than that.
Something exotic. When you go for something exotic, when you can't go home.
I'm just gonna wait for the next one.
When you can't go home, you become a local fisherman they call Big Fatty Face. Don't become a local fisherman they call Big Fatty Face. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes.
I'm going to stop that. Did you hear all those whens? What did I say the word when is in here? If. This is a whole bunch of if-then statements, one linked to the other. And this law of logic says as long as you're always piggybacking on the one before it, you can skip all the middle stuff. So if you have cable, then your house explodes, is what this ad campaign is saying. If this, then that. If this, then that. If this, then that. Well, I can just skip all that middle stuff and go if, then. So here's another one, and we're going to talk it through. Are you ready?
Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV.
All right.
Call 1-800-DirecTV.
And then...
When you pay too much for cable...
So this would be, if you pay too much for cable, then...
You throw things.
You throw things. Then it's going to say, if you throw things. It has to piggyback. What does it have to do? Repeat after me. What does it have to do? Piggyback. Because when you go to your quizzes assignment, some of them don't, and you're going to click on not valid or can't apply. Same with your test next week. It's going to say, if possible, draw a conclusion. If not, write not possible. If it doesn't piggyback smoothly all the way through. So listen carefully what I mean by that.
When you throw things, people think you have anger issues.
So now it's going to say, if people think you have anger issues, then it must piggyback.
When people think you have anger issues, your schedule clears up.
Now what's it going to say? If your schedule clears up.
When your schedule clears up, you grow a scraggly beard. When you grow a scraggly beard, you start taking in stray animals. And when you start taking in stray animals, you can't stop taking in stray animals. Stop taking in stray animals. Get rid of cable and upgrade to direct.
So basically what they could have said is, if you have cable, then you take in stray animals. Right? You can skip all the links. So we're going to put that in symbolic notation on your note card. So we're going to go back to your note card, and it's called the law of syllogism. So no, we're going to write below this, though, that this is the linker. And it's going to look like this. There's going to be an if statement. So we're going to write if. Did someone tutor? I thought I heard a toot. Oh, it's your Chromebook? Okay, that's what they all say. All right, it's going to say if P, then Q. If you have cable, then it's going to say something else. Then it has to piggyback. So then it's going to say if Q. That's what I mean by piggyback. I want you to highlight that. So grab your highlighter tool. I'm going to highlight it, and I don't know, green. Okay, they have to piggyback off each other. We're going to write then R. Now, my next if-then statement, what do you think it's got to say? Whoops, I wrote the R. If R. That's what I mean by the linker. If R, then let's say G. I just looked at Gabby. If they are linked this way, if this, then that, if that, then thus, if thus, then whatever. Let's go highlight that as well. I think that would make it pretty. As long as they're piggybacked and linked, that's why we're going to call it the linker. Okay? I don't know why that's not how. You can conclude. If P, you get to skip all those links, then R. If I have cable, skip the whole commercial, then my house blows up. This is called the linker. If you use it, they have to be linked correctly. So you have to watch. If at any point it doesn't, like maybe if it went if Q, then R, if P. Uh-oh, they didn't have it linked properly. Does that make sense, Jake? It's our first one, our law of syllogism. So I'm going to, in green, So you can't put this on your note card, but in green, I'm going to type one, and we're going to decide if we can use this law. All right? If Miss L eats lunch, okay, then she pukes. If I want to use this law, what does my next if have to be? If what? She pukes. If I say if she runs, then you're like, that's not linked properly, and you write can't apply it. Does that make sense? We need to write if she has to piggyback, pukes, then her throat hurts. All right, that is linked well. So what conclusion can I say? If Miss L eats lunch, then what? Her throat hurts. The house blows up. That's our first law. It's called the law of syllogism. I call it the linker. The law of detachment, I called it, you know how they say shit happens? I call this if happens. All right? So for this one, it's a little weird, but it says this. And let's highlight that word if. Okay? The if has to happen. If not, you can't apply it. That's why some kids last hour, like out of the 11, they're like, I got 5 wrong. I said, you got to be careful. You're applying it when the if isn't stated as happening. So it means like this. If P, because we can't put examples, then Q. We're going to say the if happens. P happens. What can you conclude? Q. But you have to know what these symbols mean because we can't put examples. So I'm going to go half-mast. And then what we're going to do is go to our assignment for today. And you will finish, but some of you, like last hour, some of them are like, I got 7 out of 11. I said it for you to do twice. So if you want 11 out of 11, just retake it as your homework. But you'll get your first shot done in class. And I'd say if you get 9 or 10 out of 11, just let her be. Okay? So go half-mast when you're caught up with me. And then in green, I'm going to type. Okay, are you ready? If Miss L eats, then she pukes. In order for me to use this law, if happens, think shit happens. The if has to happen. So I have to say Miss L eats. If I do, what can you conclude? She pukes. On your assignment, though, it might say Miss L doesn't eat. Then no conclusion can be made. The if must happen exactly. Does this make sense? All right, are you ready? So our next thing and our last task of the day, unless you're going to do it twice or unless you need to finish the formative. Okay, so first and foremost, finish the formative, but most of you have time to go back into our Schoology course here. And we're going to go to our last task, which says quizzes. If you have the music on, just have it a little quiet. I'm going to be walking around explaining one to as many of you as I can, just because there was some confusion last hour, but you guys have really been listening, haven't they, Miss Al? There's a little confusion on this assignment. So we're going to go right here. It's going to launch you into your own quizzes. You will either be using one or both of those laws, or they can't be applied, so watch it. So watch mine, just so you can see it. Are you ready? Mine says use the law of detachment. This is the shit happens one. If happens. Okay, the if has to happen. If I study for 1 hour each day, then I will score well on the exam. Okay? If I study 1 hour, did the if happen? It says I will score well on the exam. It has to say I studied for an hour for you to draw the conclusion. So I click not possible. So you have to be careful. The if has to happen. On this one, the then happened. All right, so we have the linker and we have the if happens. Go ahead. I'm going to walk around and get a green for every one of you, starting over here